Zerona laser. You're always going to grab the handle by here, and you're going to put it down. Where's your belly button?
Right here.
So for a female, you're going to go a little bit below the belly button. I want you to start 6 inches off the tissue. I don't know if you have a tongue depressor you can use. Okay. 6 inches off the tissue, a little bit below her belly button, right? Okay. Okay, but what I want you to do now for all your patients, I want you to, can I touch you? I want you to palpate and find out where they have subcutaneous fat. So you're going to palpate, 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 and then what you're going to do is you're going to take those towels over there and go ahead and put them under so you can lift the fat up so it's not so flat, so it's actually more rounded.
So I just put it underneath.
Yeah,
like
but you're going to have to raise this up. So usually you'll use smaller towels. Do you usually have smaller towels in your place? Like hand towels?
Sure,
Okay.
can get us.
Where we can go.
So you can raise that up a little bit.
So wherever they have
Okay.
the
Wherever they have the fat. See how it's raised now?
Yeah.
So this area is raised. And then you're going to place the diodes roughly 6 inches off that tissue. Okay, so you did a couple things different than we taught before. We're going to palpate the fat a lot more, right? We're going to ask the patient, do you want to lose here? Yes, you do. Do you want to lose here? Yes, you do. Okay, so even though you don't have anything to lose, we want to make sure it's squishy subcutaneous fat. Over here, it's going to be a little harder. It's going to be a fibrotic tissue, so it's going to be a little harder fat, so it's going to take a little bit longer to emulsify. So what I'm saying to you is let's go ahead and place a diode about 6 inches off the tissue here and perpendicular to the tissue. Okay, and when we turn off the lights, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to make sure that this overlaps with this, right? These overlap, but the bottom does not have to overlap with the center anymore.
Okay.
The
So
bottom
have
does
these
not
two
have to...
Center, have these two overlap at the top?
Yeah, the top overlap with the center and the sides overlap. You can go lower than 6 inches now. You can go as low as 4 inches. But you just want the gentle overlap, not a heavy overlap, okay? Never more than 8 inches off the tissue, probably for somebody like her, 4.5, 5 inches. So before you were taught 6 to 8 inches, now you can go below 6 inches.
So the skinnier, the lower we need to get closer.
Probably, but remember, it's not about distance now. It's going to be about just the feathering effect of the diodes. And by lowering this, you're going to be able to get to the sides better. You don't want to do the top. You want to do the sides where they have more fat. But make sure you always grab it first, lift it up, place the diodes, and then move the center so that you just have a gentle overlap.
Now I noticed that this one has like their light, it's like a light line and then it's got the dark red line. Does it need to overlap is it okay if they overlap the light line or does it need to be the actual red?
No, just the feathering effect at the end.
Okay.
So the brightest spot in the laser will be the area that's being emulsified the most.
Okay.
So the brightest spot has to hit the subcutaneous fat that you're treating. Okay?
But does the brightest part of the laser need to overlap this brightest part of the laser? Because there's like
No, just the feathering effect, the tips.
That's what
Tips on this, tips on this. So you may be treating this area, but this does not have to overlap with the center. But these sides do. So we're going to treat all along here, right? So the two things you learned differently today is one, palpate the fat, figure out where the fat is that you're treating. It's always below the rib cage. And second, lift the fat up so that you can target it better, and then you can move the diodes lower than 6 inches if you like. Okay?
Does the towel that you place underneath it, does it have to be a certain place underneath the fat, or just like that?
You're just trying to raise the fat up because when you have fat, when you're laying down, the fat gets flat.
Yeah.
So you want to raise the fat up. Okay? So raise the fat up, and then you'll be able to target it better. So the only difference between before is that you're going to be able to target the fat a little bit better because you're getting the center of the diodes, the brightest part of the diodes, targeted directly on that subcutaneous fat. Okay?
Do these still have to be 6 to 8 inches apart?
No, remember they can be lower than 6 inches now.
I thought you were just talking about the middle.
No,
So
everything can be lower than 6 inches as long as you're concerned about the feathering effect.
Okay.
But make sure they're perpendicular. If they're not perpendicular, you'll be delivering less energy into the tissue and getting a poor result. Okay? So you got that? Okay, great.
That's it.
That's it. So it's a little bit different. Okay?